Hey, Sandra, y'all. Welcome to Scotch on the Bayou. I hope everyone is doing well on this balmy Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. So we were just here the last show and it was a snow day, right? And it was unprecedented levels of snow in South Louisiana. Today, it's 82 degrees. 82 degrees. I have my air conditioning on in the house in February. So goes life in Louisiana. I hope everyone's doing well. And I'm really excited about this topic. I've been stewing on it for a while. You might even say blending my thoughts together, but bunch about talking about blended Scotch whiskey and what that is and what it is, particularly to people who really center their attention on single malts, like most all of us do, but learning more about it, learning more about what goes into it, but more importantly, how to find a good one and what to look for. And is this grandpa's whiskey, So we're going to talk about a little bit of that tonight. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from your thoughts and what some of your favorite blended Scotch whiskeys are. And I think by the end of the night, we're going to get a really good idea and basically a good short list of things to try. So want to say hello. Saw Tom was in Whiskey and Wine Trails. Hello, everybody. I think some of the blends, are quite underrated. Absolutely. And its age statement, single malts get more expensive. There's a number of viable blend options, and it really is. And so true, Tom. And I think, stateside, there's some that we've known and big brands that we've always known. And I think those are the ones that kind of get the huff and the side eye and some things like, when you look down at the handle of J&B on the bottom shelf of the Scotch aisle, and you're like, but that's probably not what we're really talking about here. I mean, yes, that is a big part of Scotch whiskey, and we'll kind of talk about those metrics in a minute. But man, there's some really cool things I think out there that are coming more stateside and becoming available over here. And if not, there are ways to getting it over here now. And going over there, if you're able to go to Scotland, that is really what opened my eyes to what blends were. So I'm excited to share some of that. We can see who else is in. Marky's man in the booth. Hey, and I see Rob's in. Hey, friend, good to see you there. Awesome. And I see Bourbon Neophyte. Hey, glad you're joining us. Chuck, good to see you a few minutes ago on the other call. Malt Minion's in, so that's awesome. Ian, I saw your girls went to school today. Yay. Happy warm days down in Australia. Hope you're doing well, and cheers to you, friend. Trooper, I hope you're somewhere nice and safe and dry, not in the Gulf. Hopefully, maybe not in Oklahoma anymore. Tell me what y'all are drinking tonight and see what you did. Yeah, I know what I did there. That's so cool. Stacy's in. Oh, so that would be a whole other thing of the different types of blends of Irish whiskey, right? 49 days to St. Patrick's Day. Girl, I'm going to be in Scotland on St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to have an Irish dram just for you. Probably in Glasgow. So I'll let you know how that goes for sure. Sugar Kitty is in. Hello, meow, my friend. Joe's Whiskey Den. Oh, awesome. Great to see everybody. That's super. And oh, my boo. Hey, Graham, good to see you from Chile, Scotland. Yeah, we're not chilly. I'm going to bring some of the heat when I come over in a couple weeks. Good to see you, friend. I've always lived vicariously through your fun adventures and all of the wealth of Scotch at your doorstep. It's so much fun. Very cool to see Jim. Hey, counting on Compass Box for some of the blends. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I've got one particular I pulled tonight. So yeah, cool. Awesome. And Mr. Broda, good to see you again, friend. Yes, we're talk about a couple of things. You know, I actually looked at when I put the thumbnail together and I realized I don't think I have any of those blends, but I do have some really cool things that I've found either here or before um, that I'm excited about. And then y'all are going to help decide which of two bottles I do open of really cool bottles I was gifted, and I'll talk more about that. I see Andrew jumped in. Good to see you, Andrew. You have to let me know what kind of blends you like too, friend. Um, so thinking about what a blended Scotch whiskey is. Um, we know single malt is from a single distillery. So blended lends itself to multiple distilleries, right? But by definition, it's one or more single malts and one or more single grain whiskeys together. So you've definitely got a single malt component to it, but you also have to have either one or more of that grain component. So, and grain whiskey in and of itself, which is a whole other category, is single grain whiskey, Scotch whiskey, has a very, very different flavor profile for me. It's a very grassy to me, slightly acetone. There's some different characteristics where I can usually pick a grain out right away. Um, but when you start adding things in with single malts and you temper and you play with your whiskey, some really cool things can happen. When you look at this particular part of the overall market or the overall export, it makes up 73% of what is shipped out of Scotland. 73% are blended Scotch whiskies, not single malts. That's only 12%. So we're over here in our little single malt bubble, all excited about, a particular cask or these different variations. And we're just not even a quarter, not even 15% of the overall market. So there's a ton of people drinking blended Scotch whiskey. So if they're, you know, if they're doing something, if they're doing that, it's got to be worth talking about, right? So that's why I'm excited about getting, part of this and kind of figuring things out and maybe busting up some myths about it being cheap, rock gut, not good, as good, all those comparative things when it's just different. It's just different. So I want to saw a couple of folks pop in that Rob is doing the nectarosity. That even sounds good. I have a compass box we'll talk about in a bit, and their names. I mean, their packaging is amazing, right? But even their names are pretty cool. Yeah, I love it. Broda Schooliness, blended malt, blended grain, and the plain O blended. Exactly. So Andrew's got quite a range from the Lindell's Queen Margot at 13.49 pounds up to a 43-year-old Oishi Wasuki blended at the Highlander Inn. Wow. So I don't even want to know what the price tag is on that one. But that's a really good point that you make, especially on that low end, is that they're usually actually pretty affordable. You get in the really high years. Yeah, that can be an issue, but definitely the ones that we're going to talk about tonight that I have are all within the 35 to 40, $50 range. The compass box get kind of precious, but there's a lot that goes into them. And, and I would even argue that some of their single malts that go in there are pretty precious. So I would say that would, kind of be reflected in the price. Man, I'm going. So I'm going to pour a dram. How about that? I think one of the one of the big ones that you think of straight out of the gate, and I know this was a big one, the overall for the United States is Cutty Sark. Cutty Sark. Big green bottle, yellow, glowing, glow in the dark yellow label, right? Ship, the whole deal. And yes, that is definitely a version of it. What I have tonight is actually something that's easy to get, relatively easy to get. Let me do that. It is the Cutty Sark Prohibition Edition. I think they came out of this in 2013 to begin with, which was the 80th anniversary of Prohibition. Cutty Sark, the ship that was in London for so long. Berry Brothers, who we all pretty much are familiar with on the single malt world as being an independent bottler, right? They owned some distilleries, and they supplied the single malts for this. There were grains from North British Distillery, and Invergordon is what they use right now. They're single malts. Highland Park, Glenrothes, Macallan, Bunnahabhain. I mean, we drink all of those as a single malt all the time, you know? And here they are. When you think, until you start thinking about what some of the breakdown is, you don't really think about what this is. But man, boy, this smells so good. So I'm going to pour a wee bit. Let me know if you all have this one. I see Kim's in, and Drew's in, and Martin's in. The gang's all here. I mean, right away, the nose is just really open and floral. Pretty malty. I mean, all things considered, you know. So kind of the way that this went with the evolution of Cutty Sark. About in the teens, they're trying to get, Bear Brothers is trying to get some whiskey moving. We have Prohibition. Literally, it's being smuggled in by the real McCoy, Bill McCoy, who, I mean, they even have the real McCoy embossed here, up through the Caribbean into the United States. So this was getting into the United States and it was loved because it was actually tasty, and it had some color to it because they were putting color in it at that time, along with the fact that your alternative was homemade moonshine, which just about kill you and blind you, you know, if it wasn't done right. So when Prohibition broke and ended, there was already a ready-made audience that was ready for Cutty Sark, and it just took the United States by storm. I mean, I barely smell any grain on this. Wow. So Jeff Whiskey really likes this one, huh? I thought he did. Cool. Drew wants samples. Good seeing everybody. Oh man, just really fruit forward. Like, it's sweet, but more like orchard apple sweet. Is anybody else drinking this today? Kind of gets a little bit of sour back here, but more tart. Not really sour, more tart, like a fresh strawberry. Super malty on the nose. I wouldn't even get that it would be that malty. Wow. So Graham's talking about that challenge of working out the source of the green whiskey for most of the IBs, independent bottling, Scotch blends. Yeah, because I tried to I even tried to figure that out with one of the other ones, that the one that is an Adelphi one. We'll talk about that in a second. And I couldn't figure out. I know where the malt came from. I just don't know where the grain came from. It's very interesting. It's kind of like keeping everything down on the, down low or something. Just Whiskey Den is in, and he's saying that you've got it in the glass. So tell me what you're getting off of it. Are you getting this much fruit off of the front end like this? It's so very balanced, and this is 50%. So it's not shabby. I mean, it's not a watered down drink. It's at 50 ABV. I may have to go find another one of these because I know they were a little hard to find for a little bit, and you're talking about a $35 bottle of whiskey. This is a nice sipper. Kim, I didn't know you had a Scotch on the Bayou shirt. Yay! Yay! Thank you. Love it. Oh man, overripe apples. Thank you. It's just, yeah, got a little tart to it though, don't you think? Bruce is in. Hey, waited for over a year when the first announced on Oswos before it made an appearance. Okay, awesome. John's in. Hey, friend, good to see you. Drew became a channel member. Hey, thank you, friend. Awesome. He just really wanted to use the gator emoji. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, but I mean, when you think about that, so Berry Brothers, they ended up turning into Edrington, right? So they still produced and supplied all of the single malts for Cutty Sark. Well, at some point they were like, okay, we'll just buy Cutty Sark because they were feeding their own beast, So yeah, it's something where you think, okay, Cutty Sark is the bottom shelf stuff, but it really isn't. There's an alternative that will really appeal to the single malt folks, and it's $35 and relatively available. Tom made a really good point at the beginning of the stream with his comment about the pricing of things. We ain't talking about tariffs tonight. We ain't talking about any of that mess at all. But things are only getting higher. Things are only going up. So if a daily Scotch is in your repertoire, your chill down for the day kind of thing, you can keep maybe some of your single malts to be more of a precious on the shelf special occasion, but you've got a quality alternative in a blended Scotch whiskey, especially with this version, because this is downright tasty. And again, at 50 ABV, so you're not sacrificing mouthfeel or the integrity of the dram by a really low ABV. So tasty. So Ian's talking about a great way, a great blend that he has was a Scuzzy Batch 3 from Springbank and Amber Lane. Oh, loved it. Shared with another barfly from Tasmania of all places. Wow. Well, that is literally around the corner from your place. Also the Glass House. It was a Loch Lomond produced dram. Okay. So we know Loch Lomond produces some grain, and I would say, Ian, those aren't going to be on the shelf in the States, but being able to have access to them, that's the thing. Letting us know that means there's things that we can look for. We can not, if those aren't available, we can look for other ways of getting blends over here, or not being so closed into thinking that blends are something less than, you know what I mean? So thanks for sharing that, because it is really hard to kind of gather that idea. I should have probably brought some more glasses. So I am probably not going to open all of these, but before we get into some modern day versions, I do want to share, and I'm going to ask you all your opinion about something. I was at a bottle share at our local club quite a while back ago, and our club is predominantly bourbon. You know, it's is the Bourbon Society Baton Rouge, and we talk about being a charity group with a drinking problem because we raise a ton of money for the community, and very very giving, very nice folks. Ah, look, the glass delivery man came. Thank you, honey. And y'all cannot round of applause from our grader, right? Super nice guy. I'm glad I picked him. Anyway, so Tony, this guy named Tony, super guy, comes up and he says, "Hey Lee, I've got something for you. He said, do you like old whiskey?" And I'm like, there's a saying down here in the South, is a pig's butt pork? Yeah, I like old whiskey. And he's like, well, we were cleaning out a relative's place, and we know that he didn't really like whiskey, but he was gifted some whiskey, and we thought we would bring it to you because it's Scotch, and we don't really drink Scotch. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he produces this box. When you look at this old Ballantines, now I'm gonna call on Andrew and Graham to help me out. I think these are late 70s, early 80s. So this is the Ballantines. The graphics are gorgeous. The bottle, oh my gosh, just gorgeous. There's no UPC code on this at all, and I think you're hard pressed to even get an ABV on the thing. Yeah, the ABV is not even marked on here. So I couldn't even tell you what that is. So that's one. So the Ballantines is one, but here's the other. It is on here. So this is 86.8 proof. So that's 43.4, right? I got to get my glasses on, y'all. This absolutely stunning graphics of a Dewar's white label. There we go. There we go. I'll hide behind it. Look at the graphics. That's the Walter Scott Memorial, and that is the castle in Edinburgh, and the bagpiper. I mean, come on. Yeah, there is, Mark, that's a good point. It is a U.S. bottling. It doesn't have the UK stamp on them. So they were sent over here. This is a big bet. This is a big boy. This is a 40 ounce purchased from an Alders International shop, duty free, for exposition only. So this is the Dewar's white label. So should I open the white label Dewar's or the Ballantines? Which do you think I should? I'm going to open one of them. So I'm going to go back. BR Scotch says both. Let's see. Yeah, they are really, I figured, Drew, you would understand. I mean, you have such a good eye for design, so you would understand that for sure. So does the Ballantines show proof of instead of percent? It does. I really don't see anything that says proof on it unless it's on the box and I missed it. There's a slight number code. There's a sticker on the white label box. It's not printed. It's an actual sticker. So that makes me think there might have been a sticker that fell off. but there is not one on the bottle that shows. It says it talks about the appointment of the late Queen Victoria and the late King Edward the Seventh, George Ballantyne and Sons, Dumbarton. So everybody's saying both. Everybody's saying the bigger one. Bruce wants the bigger one. Wants the Dewar's white label, and then Graham says the 40% Ballantynes is not as good as their 17-year-old. Well, duh, friend. Blend the blends. Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's go with the Dewar's White. Let's go with this big boy right here. And we may end up opening that. I have drugged my feet on opening these because I wanted to share them with someone in here you all are. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna crack this sucker open. I was kind of showing the guys earlier. If you can kind of see in there is some major gradu floating around. We'll see what that is. I have a feeling it's going to take. Dang, I may have Mark. You have to come in here and open it for me. I'm serious. I've been sitting there for 40 years, not being able. Mark, can you come back in here and open this bottle? This is ridiculous. So lots of Aberfeldy single malt and Dewar's. Yeah, like seriously. My lovely assistant is gonna crack that open. Maybe. We may be opening the Ballantynes so we can't get that one open. I guess I should have done that before we opened up, right? But yeah, so you would think that, right? Because Aberfeldy is owned by Dewar's now. Floaties are the good tasty bits. Yeah, get a little bit of protein in there. Uh-oh. You having trouble, babe? Trooper's getting his car and coming over. I don't know. It may be rusted on. We'll have to see. May have to open this other one. Dustin, I know you do love your compass box. You're not totally biased at all. We'll get there. Well, I can see. I think this one's budging. I can open the Ballantynes. If you can't get it, that's okay. We'll open the other one. Well, I say that. This is got it. Got this one. Screw top. Don't break it. Okay, so oh wow. So here we go. This is the Ballantynes. Oh, definitely a bit more grainy, kind of a bit more swampy. That needs to air out a bit. I mean, it's only fair, right? It's been in the bottle for 50 years, 40 something, 50 years. I'm just going to let that sit a minute and take another sip of the Cuddy Sark. I think he's having trouble. If you can't get it, that's okay. We'll do a part 2 and where we get that one open. Yeah, Alders was ALL. Well, I'll say that. Yeah. So it's ALLDERS, International Shop. That's what it was called. Its carton and contents must be exported intact from the United Kingdom. So it was definitely for our market, for sure. Ian says we need a tea towel. Did you get it? Oh, he got it. Yay. Thanks, sweetie. Good job. Woohoo. So we're going to pour this one. It was funny. John McShane, who I know many of y'all know from Global Ambassador SMWS was here summer before last, and I showed these to him, and I was like, "Do you want to open them?" He goes, "Oh no, Leanne. Well," he said, "just save those for a night where you get together with people to drink old whiskey." And I'm like, "John, we ain't got that over here. We don't have that over here." All right, I'm gonna let that sit a little bit. I got a lot of really fresh pear on that straight out. So the Ballantines. Mm, mm. Holy smoke. Okay, so Mark Broda can talk to this a lot because he has a really nice, I wouldn't say collection, because collection means he's hoarding it and he's kind of like thinks it's precious and he doesn't want to share it. He has shared the hell out of a bunch of bottles he was able to come into from a source that were older 70s and 80s era blends, and they taste amazing. The quality of single malts that went into those blends was super, because at that point, the things that were really selling, I guess, so 1964 was the first commercial single malt from Glenfiddich. Otherwise, all the single malts, that was all going into a blend. That's what sold. Why are you going to sell it by itself when you can make money making Johnny Walkers and J&B and Bell's and Black and White and all the old school type Scotch whiskeys, Ballantines, White Label, all of those. He's not a hoarder. Y'all be nice. The Ballantines is super light. You can tell that it's 40 ABV. But it's got a slight malt taste to it, as opposed to that Cutty Sark Prohibition, which was quite malty. It's very soft. And again, we're talking from the 80s. It's been in this bottle probably since 82, 83, something like that. So, we're working on 40 years. Nothing off-putting at all. I can taste part of the grain because it's that slight kind of abrasive. See, abrasive is a tough word there. It's just noticeable. It's not, that kind of thing. And it's not a overarching acetone, but it's almost a menthol kind of flavoring I get off of grains. But it's quite balanced, actually. So I need some water. Let's check. Autocorrect is not Martin's friend tonight. That's okay. We knew what you meant. Maybe so. Maybe so, Graham. There's all kinds of fun places I want to go. So I know Martin's got the going to the Sassenach, because I'm all about some whiskey from Jamie Fraser. And then also the Thompson Brothers blended Scotch whiskey. Yes, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Cool. But hey, Tim, glad you're here. So not Scotch, but so you recently got a 73 Seagrams VO. Oh wow. Yeah, what they worked with either for that, even compared to what you have right now, is unbelievable. It really is. As Mark says, the fun, they're fun having the detective work. Yeah, trying to like figure out like which of the grain distilleries There are, didn't I think Roy did a show a couple weeks ago where he talked about how many of those grain distilleries are still there. So that's really interesting to say. Um, so okay, Joe. So if it was older than 84, then it is older. Then it could be more than 50, 40 ABV. Hmm. Um, okay. So it would have been from Dumbarton Grain Distillery. That's over kind of close, like on the way, like between Glasgow and Loch Lomond, isn't it? Well, I'm trying to remember my geography. So nose to nose between the Ballotons and the White Label. This has more of a burnt sugar kind of pancake syrup nose to it, like syrup that's dried on the plate after you ate the pancakes with a little butter. Man, just really very evident. The White Label is pretty neutral, but it's got a bit of a funk. Makes me wonder if the funk is because of the age or the content. But more like a cantaloupe. That sweet's more fruit, where the other is more sugar. Okay. The White Label is definitely hotter on the palate. But again, not off-putting. It isn't egregious or harsh in any way. These would be kind of dangerous because it would be very easy to sip a lot. uh, uh, uh. That was something. Okay, so Broda, thank you for doing our research here. It was a duty-free chain of duty-free shops in airports and cruise ships around the world. So my friend's relative was a Louisiana state senator or representative, and it was given to him as a gift. And it makes me wonder if someone, picked up a bottle of scotch to bring to the Senate to talk about a bill that needed to go through the House, you know, or the Senate as it was. Very interesting. By itself, it was a department store. Interesting. Wow. So they operating in the UK, and then Alders was established. Wow. Thank you, Cliff Clavin. That's awesome. That's perfect. I appreciate that because I never even got that far. I was just totally enraptured by just old whiskey. I mean, 40 years in the bottle, not 40 years old, but 40 years in the bottle. It's just been begging to go in a glass and have a sip. Mm. This is a perfect example of don't be afraid to explore an old bottle. Both of these are absolutely amazing. And patrons, let me know if you want a sample. Just hit me up and I'll get you one because these are really neat. Mark, I bet you would love to compare some of these against the ones that you have. That would be a cool taste variation. But it's not every day someone's going to gift you old 40-year-old bottles of blended whiskey. So what's out there? And a couple of y'all have definitely talked about what's going on. And we talked about Compass Box. I know Dustin absolutely adores Compass Box. And, they just kind of do their thing, right? John Glazer and just all the things that they've done to come up with this, the Mad Hatter that he is. This one, our buddy Zach, I bought this when I was over in Houston with him, and it is the Asila, which is a play on the term asylum, as in wacky crazy, right? But when you look at the breakdown of this, it's a 50-50 version. So you can have the beautiful thing about Compass Box is they give you the whole shebang. They'll give you all the information on their websites. Some of the bottles are actually pretty decent on percentages of what different whiskeys make up this bottling. And this particular one doesn't get into it on the bottling, but digging in, you can find out it's 50% grain and it's 50% single malts. So when you look at that, the grain is coming from Cameron Bridge. Is that correct? I think. And I knew he would like this. And then Glen Elgin, Taninic, and Linkwood. And to me, I immediately know like Linkwood in my head and have that profile of what a Linkwood tastes like. So percentage wise, that is again 50% single malts and 50% grain. So it may be a little bit more grain forward than say this next one. And that is McLean's Nose. If you can find a bottle of this, get you one, as they say. I mean, we're talking 35, 40 bucks in the States, right? And it's Ardnamurchan with some grain whiskey. And I won't even want to say it's like 70% Ardnamurchan. Let me go back and look. I had some notes. So it is more single malt forward than it is grain. So that in particular is lovely. And it's because it's Ardnamurchan and Adelphi makes this. We all know it's Ardnamurchan. It's literally the nose is the rock formation on Ardnamurchan Peninsula. And if you're brave enough to go down a single track road or smart enough to go across the ferry from Tobermory, which is the safer route, you would see this basically. Peated, you get the minerality from that West Coast Scotch that they're so good at making. I get that minerality off of a Glen Scotia, slightly off of Oban's, but mainly this is like a liquid granite. Sometimes it's just so tasty. Enough of the peat in it to tell you it's there and to warm you up, but it's really, really a solid dram. Roy poured this for me 2 summers ago when we were over there, and just sat there and said, well, tell me what you think, and it's like, this is amazing for 35 bucks. I think the big stores carry it now, but always go into your local places and say, I want you to get this, and tell them what you want. And more times out of not, they'll actually bring it in. Yes, Graham, you may have the dish on this. Do you know what John Glazer's doing? Is he like still like tooling around Scotland? Are there ever any sightings of him or Loch Ness over there? Because I'm thinking Nessie and John Glazer are about probably as hard to find as one or the other. But yeah, that's funny. But yeah, to go back on the McLean's Nose, 70% of it is single malt. So that's that. Otherworldly, and we're going to have more of a discussion about that, my friend, otherworldly. But yes, that Linkwood might be even pre-war, but it was undeniably Linkwood. Cannot even begin to thank you for that. So yeah, I want to see. McLean's Nose is your next pour. Sweet. Peat Monster. Hey, Michael, good seeing you. That's a nice gift from brother for sure, because that's a nice dram. And So you're still waiting to show up in the note. You know, Bruce, I was able to get no full disclosure. Yeah, I brought that back over, but I want to say Total Wine was trying to get it in. Um, yeah. So yeah, Tim, great. Well, the thing is, you'll find there's a seat at the table here everywhere, and I'm just a mouthpiece of what I think I know. All of these people in the chat, they're the ones who really know, and our collective is very good about sharing information. I hope you'll come back and enjoy it, because you'll see that we're a fun group, and we just really want people to enjoy this and know much about it. Um, so Graham, you'll see, is one of our lead. He feeds us because he's actually in Glasgow, and he's up at the wee hours of the morning. He's not in Glasgow; he's in Stirling, but he's in Scotland, and so he's got all of this in his backyard. So yeah, the grains. That's a good point. So what's grains? It can be wheat, corn, barley, sorghum, oats, or a mix of all of those things. Yeah, the single grain, remember, is just not one grain, it's the one distillery. So it's coming from the one distillery, just like a single malt is coming from the one distillery. So that's kind of like, well, when you think about a single grain, too many times we try to revert to it. Oh, is it just wheat? No, it could be, it's the single part is just about the location for sure. Yeah, that's what I thought, Martin. Because I wanted to almost say, if I didn't bring it back, I think I got it at Specs on the way to Blanco last summer. I want to say maybe that. I can't remember. Mm, mm, mm. Michael got him. Oh, a Lagavulin Offerman, the Caribbean cask. Very nice. Very tasty. Oh, thanks, Broda. I appreciate it, my friend. I love it. So much fun. So McLean's Nose from Potomac Wine and Spirits. They ship $33 plus shipping. It's worth the shipping. It's still cheaper in a round trip ticket to Scotland. That's for sure. And this last one that I am going to pour a wee bit, because I have just that much left. And yes, I bought this at the store in Dornoch. And that would be Thompson Brothers, the blended Scotch whiskey. TB for Thompson Brothers / BSW blended Scotch whiskey. Aged over 6 years. I have been rationing this bottle. Rationing it. Because it is so freaking good. Again, what? 30, 35, 40 bucks, I think, is what I paid for it. And it's just shahari. Oh, same sticker. Martin's got it. This is no secret. It is a favorite. It is such a favorite. It really is. It is so complex. I think just the nose on this one, and I know I've been told, it's Macallan that's been teaspooned with grain. I don't know if that's really the case. I'm sure there's a couple folks on here that could probably set us straight or add another opinion. What I do know is it is 46 ABV. The McLean's Nose is 46 as well, right? Yeah. This Compass Box 46. So yeah, no, it's 40. Sorry. McLean's Nose is 46. All of those decent. It just smells so rich. Mm. Drew, get down here. I've got 2 out of 4 dummies that have been to my house. And one almost got there by way of dinner in Mississippi. So your wife's been awfully close. Get down here, Drew. I mean, just that sherry um influence. It isn't like knock you over with a sherry Christmas cake. So Invergordon, okay. So that would be the grain whiskey from Invergordon, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the same that's in Cutty Sark, either North British or Cutty Sark. So Martin, I'm glad you brought this up. Sassenach is $100. $100. This so much cheaper. And you feel outperformed. I have not. I think I may have had Sassenach. And I love Sam Hewen. I really do. But I can't help but think there's some celebrity price tag on that. Gorgeous bottle, one of the prettiest bottles. But I don't, there's no comparison for me on what value would be between this Thompson Brothers and that. Definitely so. Now, volume wise, the Sassenach they're pumping it out like mad, where Thompson Brothers is still pretty boutique, right? Mm. I think Drew would enjoy eating well. If he won't eat the oysters, there's plenty of other stuff he would eat down here for sure. I don't mind a little scotch on the rocks if it comes by way of Sam Hewen. I'll just say that. A kilt leaning on against I'll be nice, against a rock, that'd be fine. Yeah. But no oysters for you, but you will do gumbo. I can do a chicken sausage gumbo that you would really love. Actually, Mark will cook the chicken sausage gumbo, would be even better. I have not had the blended malt. So when I come over, Grant, we may have to be doing some shopping. I'm actually bringing some bottles over that particularly that a few of us had a little bit to do with, mainly Drew and Mark, but Martin, Kim, and I helped. It's like shake and bake. We helped. But I'm bringing some things over, so I'll have room in the suitcase to bring things back. That's for sure. So have we not gotten Michael Henry to cough this up yet? Is it coming out of Lachlan and Graham? No, we won't tell anybody. Okay, are you doing oysters and spaghetti together or mutually exclusive? Because I don't even think we eat that down there. Martin, yes. Pour a little Lafroig in my oysters. I will tell you, fresh oysters on Isla with some kelpie that's where it's at for sure. So the whole point is don't be afraid of blends. Blends are something, and at that price point, you can really test them out, It's also a great time where if you know someone who has them, ask for a sample, exchange a sample of something that somebody else wants, and be able to test that and figure out like where that is. I have to say I was so very surprised at how mellow but still a vibrant taste these older ones had. I'm blown away by how good that Cutty Sark Prohibition is. Like, dumbfounded. When you think about the price point of what that is and taste value that you get out of it, don't get hung up on the grain. Don't get hung up with the grain. Yes, there's some things that are really not that great, but go find the things that are kind of a spin-off. Look at a compass box. They're going to be pricier. They're certainly going to be pricier. But I would argue that the single malts, if nothing else, that are going in them are in the upper echelon of single malts. So if you have some really good ones of those and you put them together, it would make sense that the overall product is going to be a lot tastier. But yeah, just really, really good. running and looking back up here, oyster and duck gumbo. Now that I bet this boy from down way south, that boy can make some good gumbo. I bet. Um, uh, very, very tasty. Okay, oysters not in the spaghetti, separate, both awesome. I think I agree. I really do love my fried oysters too. A fried oyster salad with a remoulade sauce. Oh hell yeah, all day. Um, good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, Tim's in. Are you having some? See, look, I think like 5 of us are drinking it right now. So you can still get it at K&L Wines. Okay, that's an idea. Although, not at the Great Bargain. Yeah. um, McLean's nose wins on value. So surely things over here cost more, to get them. And then no West Coast folks. Our friend Donna, who's on quite often, and then Rick, when they're on, they around the San Francisco area, their Thompson brother whiskeys are pretty readily available for whatever comes to the States. They're able to get it over there. That's not going to darken my doorstep anytime soon. I'm doing what I can to just get some of the normal stuff down here. So on blendeds tend to be an ABV of 46 or above. Okay. Okay. That's good because, I think that's may take more of those of us who like that higher ABV or above 40 proof for sure. That's more in our wheelhouse, as I would say. So the Smokehead single malts, I have not tried that, Michael. I have not. So we're going to wrap up, but let me know any other particular blended Scotch whiskeys that you all like. Thompson Brothers is coming out with all kinds of different things. Check them out. Again, Compass Box. Looking at, the usual suspects, Johnny Walker, that's a whole other discussion. But when you look at what's in it, I love Klein Leash. Glenkinchie's okay. Kalila is absolutely amazing. So those types of things, when you look at what are used to compose that blended malt, the blended Scotch, there's some good integrity there. I have my preferences of the blends would be, a gold or the 18, far more than blue. I don't think blue is a very good value. If I went Johnny Walker single malts, then the green all day long. Absolutely super awesome. So another suggestion Martin has is White Feather. It's pricey, but it's nice. Okay. Never heard of that one. Very cool. Well, Michael, maybe you ought to give her some consideration. I'm just saying. She went overboard, but evidently she thought you were worth it. So you need to spend that in the correct way, friend. Oh, that's a really good one. The Timorous Beastie. That's pretty tasty. That's Lang, right? Yeah. So and then Kevin's drinking Johnny Walker King George now. Okay. Enjoying that. Yeah, the 15-year-old green label, I really, with all four of the single malts. Yep, I love it. Um, I went to a Johnny Walker event 2 Tales of the Cocktails ago, and every time they were like, "Hey, do you want some blue?" I said, "No, I'll take green." Oh, okay, yeah, I think we got a bottle back. I was like, "Yeah, I'll just take the green. I'll just, let me up. It's good." Um, the Elements of Isla Cask Edition. Okay, that's a blended malt. So and that's a Impex, which is a really good segue to talking about what's coming up. Yeah, the gold, it's what you are. But I mean, in all fairness, she probably knew that blue was kind of a big deal out in the market and she wanted to do something nice for you. So that's kind of sweet, Um, all Douglas Lang. I mean the Big Pete. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's your next comment. Great minds think alike, Martin. Yeah, just really good stuff. So we'll talk more about it. Maybe we'll have another one, a continuation of this, but blends. I want to spend more time with blends this year, I think, and learn more about them and decide what else there is. Oh, this Thompson Brothers is so good. So good. So speaking of Impex, in 2 nights on Thursday, I will be pouring. Mark's going to help too. And I have found a group of people to help us out because Douglas from Whiskey EDU on Instagram from the West Coast is coming in town and doing an Art of Whiskey Super Bowl party at one of the most gorgeous places down in the quarter, and it's called MS Rao. It is one of the world's finest art and antiques dealers in the world. I mean, just stunning things that they have. And we're going to be pouring Impex. So I'm going to have Neck Yin and Rasse. I've asked for them to bring Arden Morgan, Kilholman, Queen. There's, I mean, to all of their groupings, we're going to be pouring those for that event. So hopefully I'll be able to post some fun stuff on Instagram. So catch that, and we'll do a recap on the next show. Graham, I would actually like to do that. I've not done the Johnny Walker experience yet down there on Prince Street, but I would like to do that. And so Andrew, perfect. Turntable Spirits, an independent bottler. They're going to be at the festival that we'll be going to, I think. But yeah, that's something I don't think we can get like on the shelf here. I think we'd have to order it across from there. That's for sure. That's awesome. That's cool. So Bruce, Costco has some. I have not tried their Kirkland's blend. I've tried their single malts, which are pretty decent, But that's a good reminder to go look and see what kind of Kirkland blends. They'll have a couple of, ours is really slim pickings, like really slim pickings. But some Costco's are amazing. The coming up on the next show, which is on the 18th, in 2 weeks, we are going to have a conversation with one of my dear friends, Chad Anderson, who is from Canada. And Chad's been on when we talked about the Victoria Whiskey Festival before. But he has been a part of multiple whiskey clubs. And he created one about 2 years ago, just started a new version. And so that got me thinking, because so many times we want to be able to share whiskey and share, like, who do you share that with? And during the pandemic and all that, we got on this box, right? And we were talking to people all over the world and being able to be some kind of community. And thankfully that's kind of carried through even to shows like this and the Scotch for Dummies and Roy and everybody. So, but he was able to put together a really amazing group and start a whiskey club. But a whiskey club doesn't have to be grandiose. It can be like Dustin and me and our, 5 or 6 other buddies that go into a bottle split. So we want to talk about the various ways to drink whiskey with your friends into either an informal club or a full-blown grouping, and where it's organized and all the things. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks on the 18th. Really excited about that because Chad is an absolute doll and super to be part of it. Anyway, so this has been fun, guys. I hope you've enjoyed talking about blends. I want to talk some more. I'm going to throw some things on Instagram and we'll keep the conversation going for sure. But so Martin, you must have a good Costco. Definitely. I knew Alexander Murray does work on their offerings. But yeah, what's in them is just almost impossible to figure out. So they have a $35 at 50 ABV. That's fantastic. Thanks, Tim. I will. Next time we need a rotisserie chicken, I'll be going by there and look at it for sure. And Martin, awesome. So, okay, put it on there because I want your feedback and I want to know what you think. Because even in your town, you started one, and it's not like I know where you live. It's not a dinky town, but the idea is that you're able to do that. That's going to be really cool. Graham is part of a lot of whiskey clubs, and I have great FOMO and envy of his participation in the Glasgow Whiskey Club all the time. So I just live vicariously through all the tastings he does. But yeah, so for those who may not know, I'm going over 5 weeks from Thursday. I fly over, meeting Graham and the crew, and we're doing the independent independent spirits festival in Leith. It's going to be amazing. And just, I'm super excited about that because I want to talk to as many of these independent bottlers as I can, because we have such limited exposure to them over here, and try to bring those brands back over here. Our friends at Scotch Drinkers Only are bringing some of those into the States, but there are some that are already here, like Thompson Brothers. You just got to figure out where to get them, So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Guys, thank y'all so much. I hope you had fun. I appreciate all of the participation. We had a good crowd tonight. I'm excited about the year. If you haven't seen, it's a work in progress, but we've revamped, getting a new look for the website, scotchonthebayou.com. My brother's been helping me, so we'll be adding more content to that, but it's going to be cool stuff. And we're going to try to do a live from Scotland on that particular Tuesday that I'll be there. We're going to have to check the Wi-Fi first. And we'll see. We'll kind of play it by ear, because we know how Campbelltown worked out or didn't a couple of years ago. So, but we'll try it. We'll see what's going on. Have a wonderful, wonderful time, y'all. Thanks for being here with me and sharing this time. And I will see you in 2 weeks on the 18th with Chad, talking about whiskey clubs. Until then, go find you a blend, experiment, and enjoy. Salanja, y'all.